Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Shark Gaming's Heroes of the Storm new player guides. And in this guide we're going to be going over some general tips that I believe are fairly important and everyone should keep in mind while they're playing Heroes of the Storm. Now if you're a veteran player and there are some other things that you believe are equally as important but I didn't put in the video, feel free to put a comment down below to help out with informing our new players. Now for the first tip, the one thing I believe, and I know several people who would agree with me on this, our number one goal, our number one responsibility, I guess is the best way to put it. Whoop, I didn't want, oh well. The number one responsibility for all Heroes of the Storm players is to not die. Unlike other MOBAs, there are no ADCs. The support player is not required to sacrifice themselves to make sure that you stay alive so that you can make more gold, have more experience, and etc. etc. Experience is shared. And because experience is shared, it is everyone's responsibility to get themselves out alive from every confrontation. Does that mean you'll never die? Absolutely not. Does that mean that it is never a good idea to die? No, there will be a few occasions where dying might be preferable to the outcome because, you know, your death might secure 4 kills. You just have to keep in mind that whenever you are in a fight, that is something you have to think about. Now, there are some other sub tips to that responsibility. For example, if you come up to an engagement and your team is outnumbered, let's say it's a 3 versus 2, you probably should not engage that. You will most likely die. If you are not the tank but you're waiting for an engagement and the tank is on his way, you should probably wait for your tank to engage rather than jumping in yourself and end up dying because you do not have the health to absorb the burst damage that's about to rain down on your face. Similarly, if the fight is going badly overall, and if you notice that the fight is going badly overall, so let's say the tank dies, now it's a 5v4, just be prepared to get out of that fight. Be prepared to try and retreat, to try and stay alive. It's your job to make sure to stay alive. Now, if your team, someone on your team is calling retreat and you don't retreat, don't blame the rest of your teams for not staying there and dying with you. It's not, you need to get out. You need to recognize when to get out and when it's time to fight. And then the last thing here, this is something I almost forgot about, and that is checking a bush. Unlike other MOBAs, there are no wards in this game, so when you go to check a bush, you need to be extremely careful because for the most part you have to face check it. You have to run into the bush to see if anyone's in the bush, and if there happens to be a 5-man gank in that bush and you just ran into it face first, you're pretty much dead. So be careful when running into a bush. Some good tips: if you have a squishy character with range and a ground targeted ability or straight line ability, just toss it into the bush. If there's anyone there, you'll get a brief glimpse of them. You might even deal damage to them, but the whole point of that is to let you know whether or not the bush is safe. So keep that in mind as well. It'll help you stay alive more often. So let's talk about the next thing. The most important most important objective in the game up until level 10 is experience. How you get experience is going to differ based on the type of character you have, and just because experience is the most important objective in the game does not automatically negate your responsibility for joining your team.
Choose a talent
For the map objectives either. I came down here to help. Oh, there we go. Never mind. Now, once you start understanding that some of the most important responsibility, or your most important responsibility, is to gather experience for your team until level 10, at which point you have ultimates, you'll start to understand other tactics, such as leaving someone in a lane while the rest of your team goes to the objective, whatever their objective is, with the intention of delaying the enemy team, not necessarily capturing the objective for your team. So let's say you're on the Cursed Hollow and you want to stay bot to get experience. That's a good idea, but your teammates have to be aware of this so that they can follow rule number 1 as well. Because if they can't follow rule number 1 themselves, because they don't know that you are not going to be there, then that's really not fair on your team, is it? So communicating your tactics, your split pushing, that sort of stuff, you need to make sure to communicate with your team about that, and not just run around and do whatever you want to if you want to win. That's, yeah, if you don't care about winning, yeah, sure, do whatever you want to. Don't talk to your teammates. They'll yell at you the entire game. But that's going to be the choice that you made. Let's see. Let's talk about, at level 10, your team should group and force an engagement. So if you hit 10 first, your team should level up and push an engagement hard. For example, a gate, to get the gate down, to get the minions working on the fort. That's a good example of what something your team should do. Now, you got to also make sure, remember, not to spend too much time pushing that, because they are most likely near to level 10. But if they're level 8 and you're level 10, you can pretty much push into a fort and take a fort down without any opposition. Like, they won't be able to do anything about it. In fact, you can do this and completely ignore the map objective if you're far enough ahead. So keep that in mind at level 10. When your team has their ultimates, you should be grouping up to push down an objective, whether it's a tower, the team objective, the map objective, whatever it is. You have the advantage over the enemy team because you are level 10. Oh, excuse me. And they are not yet. This same idea also holds true for every third level. So 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 20, etc., etc. And the reason why that holds true continuously is because you get a talent. Every time you get a talent, your team as a whole gets a spike in power over the enemy team. So keep that in mind as well. But level 10 is the highest or strongest power strike in the game. Level 20 is not as strong of a power strike because not everyone is going to upgrade their ultimates. There's a bunch of different choices here that you can choose from that are helpful, but not necessarily as powerful. Hello? Hello? Where did that Sergeant Hammer go? Oh. Oh yeah, you're dead. All right. Oh, just in case you're wondering, I am playing bots, so it might be it's distracting me just a little bit, but it's really not that important. So let's see. Oh, speaking of, don't forget that. I know you saw me, you cheating ass. Don't forget that towers are in fact objectives. So a lot of people will a lot of people will actually gain an advantage. Like right now, we have a huge advantage. My team has a huge advantage over the enemy team because we are a whole level up on them. Come on now. Get back here. Come on here, Tassadar. Tassadar. Take it like a man. Take it like a man. Tassadar. Fine. Fine, whatever. Tassadar. So, back to what I was saying. Don't forget that the towers are in fact objectives. So pushing down a tower gets you experience. Destroying the towers, destroying a full lane, gives you access to their core. And if you have access to their core, you can win. That's how you win the game, by destroying that core. If you don't destroy the core, if you lollygag around, go. Thank you. If you lollygag around and ignore the core, you have the opportunity to go deal damage to the core, but you decide to come over here and grab this camp right here instead of pressuring the enemy team with your advantage, then you are literally wasting time and causing the game to last longer than it actually should. So keep that in mind. You're after level 10, when you start grouping and you start pushing down towers, the map objective isn't necessarily going to be the most ideal objective to go after, because you should be trying to push down the core as fast as possible to win. Let's see, next thing, that kind of moves into camps. While pushing down the core is how you win camps, win games. The camps can in fact help you do that. So don't forget to utilize the camps, but also remember the camps have a very strategic point in time and on most of the maps as to when you should be taking them. For example, on Cursed Hollow, it is more strategic. It is a better time to pick up the sergeant or the siege giants when the enemy team's golem is actually coming down your lane. That way they help you take out their golem faster. So that's when you should be taking those golems, and at the same time you should be stealing the enemy golems to help you push down the lane. On top of that, yeah, I see you. On top of that, it will help you
magic subsides,
or it will, rather than help you, it will stop them from pushing down your towers or your siege golem faster in a similar manner. Yeah. So keep that in mind while come on, just get out of here. Just go. Go away. I'm getting a little bit too distracted from what I'm trying to do here. So my next tip here for you guys: learn the objectives of each map. What should you do and when and where? And this is actually something I'm going to be doing videos for every single map in the game, so that you guys, if you not really sure what the basic objective of each individual map is, you can take a look at those maps those videos as they come out. But these guys are going to cheat and be like, oh, he's right there, kill him. Let's see, next general tip I have for you guys actually has to do with the boss camp. Now, the boss camp is nicknamed the throw pit for a reason, so you just shouldn't take it just because you feel like it. This particular map I'm on right now is even worse than most of the others because the map is small. You'll see people try to take this this boss camp and get wiped by the enemy team because of this disruptive nature of this particular boss, the tornado with its knockback, the knock-up circle, stunning you. If the enemy team figures it out, they can be from the top lane to the boss camp in 10 to 15 seconds, which it takes longer than that just to kill him if your team is not all there. So be careful when you choose to pick up the boss camp, and almost always the general consensus is that if you want to take the boss camp, you want to make sure that your team has at least a 2-man advantage over the enemy team. Did you see that? Did you see how fast the bots turn around and attack me? That reaction time, though. Yeah. Anyways, let's see. Number 8. Kills in the early game do not mean as much as... Oh, God, these stupid bots. It's so cheater. The early game kills do not mean as much because the respawn timer is so short, and you don't get very much experience. You don't get as much experience for a kill as you do for a clearing out a minion wave. And the first game, our first kill, first blood in the game is worth about 300 or so points, depending on when you actually get the kill. Whereas the minion waves are worth 400 points. Woo! Woo! Dun 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 dun. All right. What was we talking about? So, killing enemies in the early game. So, basically, what you want to do in the early game, rather than trying to kill everything in the world, is you want to get them to waste their sippy cup and push them out of lane. Killing someone is actually more beneficial for them if you kill them just before the objective starts in the early game, because depending on how early the game is, the respawn timer is actually shorter than channeling the back button. So if you kill them and they have low health, they'll res, and then they'll just simply run straight to the objective at full health, where in the meantime you may not be at full health and you're running across the map. You're going to get there at the exact same time as they do, and you're actually at a disadvantage because the enemy player got to res with full health. So what you would rather do is force them back and make them use their healing well, and then simply deal just enough damage to where they're not comfortable with joining the fight. If they do join the fight, they end up dying, and if they back, they come in late, which is going to give you an advantage over the enemy team during whatever the map's objective happens to be. Let's see here. Got a few more here for you, with a couple of exceptions, like the haunted mines. Having 4 members in a single lane is less than optimal. You want to make sure to spread out and soak as many lanes as possible. If your team won't go to another lane, remember, you need to take that time to rotate to a new lane yourself so that your team is constantly soaking as much experience as possible up till level 10 when everyone really should be grouping. Last couple things: vision points in the early games, mostly useless, and you should not fight over them, and most especially do not die over them. They really don't give you much of anything at all. Vision in the early game when you're supposed to be in lane soaking experience anyways, not going to be really that helpful. And other than that, ladies and gentlemen, my last and final thing for you guys: whenever you get into a game with someone that happens to be level 40 and they start giving you advice, hopefully they give you good, sound, and polite advice, just simply acknowledge it, thank them for it, adapt your playstyle, and move on. Don't act like you know everything because you played League of Legends. Don't act like you don't need help, because chances are you do need help. And by getting defensive about it, it just actually creates a toxic environment, and we want to try to eliminate it. So just thank them, move on. It's easy as that. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for my general tips video today. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it interesting and fun and mostly informative. And if you have any questions, or if you're a veteran and you think I missed something, put it down in the bottom in the comments. It'll help out everyone. Thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button so you can see more guides in the future, plus other content that I create. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, you all have a good rest of your day.